Fellas, my nose has been congested for a while. I have no idea. I mean, usually when you had those flus and stuff, it takes 4 or 5 days. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if I'm just old. I don't know if flus nature have changed. I don't know if they've become stronger, and I just don't get it. Anyway, it's not going to stop us from doing what we do today. Thank you very much for choosing us. I appreciate you. I'm Zack. Some of you know who I am already. Most of you don't know who I am. If you don't know who I am, it's always a pleasure. Hey, if you watch this video to the end, we are certainly going to love each other. Thank you so much again. So we are talking about Uganda. Welcome to Uganda. Beautiful country, lovely people. It's called the Pearl of Africa. If you want to visit Africa, I suggest you go to Uganda. You have to visit Uganda. Great people, great music, great culture. They love going out. They love parties. Like, you're going to party until you drop dead in Uganda. No doubt about it. I had some of the best moments in Uganda. Beautiful fauna, beautiful waters, nice lakes, nice forest. Nice. Okay, stop. Enough. Okay, enough. See, I had to stop there for a little bit to go blow my nose. This is crazy. Anyway, the United States of America imposed sanctions on Uganda. Parliamentary speaker. Her husband sanctioned on her and her husband. That's crazy. And several other officials over corruption and serious abuses of human rights. There you go again. The United States of America, Great America, imposing sanctions in little countries in Africa. Sanction over the Speaker of Parliament in a free country. Parliament Speaker Anita Omong, that's her name. She's been sanctioned for involvement in significant corruption tied to her leadership of Uganda National Assembly, the U.S. State Department said. So there's corruption happening in Uganda, even if it is happening in Uganda, and USA sanctioned somebody who's doing corruption in Uganda. Is Uganda part of the United States of America? I'm just asking. This is insane, fellas. So she was sanctioned. Her husband was sanctioned. I don't know why. And some other people were sanctioned because of corruption and serious abuses of human rights. Let's try and investigate and find out a little bit what's happening here. Now, some documents, some classified documents, apparently were leaked online. These documents saying that Anita Omong, who's the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, receives a per diem of $4,000. So that means she gets $4,000 a day by the government if she travels. So what is a per diem? I know many of us know. Some don't know what a per diem is. A per diem refers to a daily allowance provided by an organization, typically an employer, to cover living expenses incurred during business travel, an allowance to cover reasonable expenses while traveling. So Anita Omong was getting from the government $4,000, and that's what she's getting right now. Now, they've leaked the document to the public, and the public is very, very angry about that. We're going to find out why she's being accused. The campaign alleges that Omong was paid equivalent of $894,000 in per diems entertainment allowance between July last year and January this year, an astonishing amount in a country struggling to implement its budget in persistent revenue shortfall. So $894,000 in per diem only from July last year to January this year. That's a lot of money. That's almost $1 million in per diem. Per diem is, again, it's an allowance that you get from your employer for covering your travel. When you travel, they'll give you some money to spend every day. And she spent almost $1 million from July to January. People are calling for her to resign. Now, I don't think that's possible because Africans don't resign. Do you notice most Africans don't resign? There was a politician in Katanga. Katanga is a province of the Congo, whom they found the naked footage with a woman doing what you know. He still refused to resign because of money, of course. Politics got a lot of money in Africa. Now, the big question here is, okay, let's say she was taking all this money illegally, okay? $4,000 a day, it's a lot of money, okay? And spending about $1 million in 6 months is a lot of money. But let's try to find out why. Why has this information not been available for all this time? Only now it has been leaked online. Let's try to find out. Now, who is this woman, Anita Omong? Is the Ugandan Speaker of Parliament. So she holds power. And a few months ago, she endorsed a bill, a law that will send men that like other men to prison in Uganda. Do you remember that? We spoke about this before. She was the main character in getting this bill accepted by the President of the Republic of Uganda. Ugandans have their own culture. You must remember, Uganda is not Ireland. Uganda is not America. Uganda is not France. Uganda is not any other country. It's Uganda. And in their culture, they do not accept men being with other men. It's not acceptable for men. So Ugandans came together and they voted in parliament saying, you can do whatever you want to do with your body. That's your body. But just don't go promoting what you do to other people. We don't want that. We don't want you training kids to do those things. And if you happen to be HIV positive and you are a man that like other men and you happen to infect somebody else with that, you're going to be put to, that's what they say. So do your thing in your house. Nobody's going to bother you. Don't come in the street hugging and kissing each other and touching each other's pants. Don't do that. If you do that, you go to jail. That's the law they came up with. Anita Omong was one of the first people to promote, to push, to accept this law as a Speaker of Parliament. She was sanctioned at the time. The sanction was, they cancelled the visa. She used to have a visa, 10-year visa to the US. It was cancelled. Uganda was benefiting from US aid. Some funding was coming from America to Uganda, helping some people living with HIV. I think they got about $300 million a year for AIDS, for people of Uganda living with HIV. That AIDS was cut off. Now, the question I asked before, I'm going to ask it again. Why do you cut off the AIDS of the people living with HIV? I mean, what do people living with HIV have anything to do with decisions taken in parliament? Do they choose the law in Uganda? Do people with HIV choose the law in Uganda? They don't. So why do you stop sending the money? If you supposedly were really just trying to help, you're not helping the president with that money. You're helping the people with HIV. Unless you were not really helping the people with HIV, it was for other purposes. It was a leverage for you to command, to ask, to demand countries to do things the way you want them to do. Now that they don't want things the way you want them to do, then you say, you know what? The money I'm giving to your HIV people, I'm not paying anymore. Who are suffering now? It's the people of HIV suffering. Is that fair? Now, the question is, she's being accused of corruption in her own country, sanctioned for corruption, and for human rights violations. Part of the human rights violation is refusing to allow men that like other men to express themselves intimately and do their things and tell other people whatever. The law is you can do it wherever you want, in your house, in your bedroom, not in the street. What I found very interesting here, fellas, is that when you go to Dubai, the law is very similar. You can't do that in Dubai. Their law is actually very harsh. Saudi Arabia, you remember Saudi Arabia. People get in Saudi Arabia, but people go to Dubai and Saudi Arabia respecting the laws of Saudi Arabia and Dubai. Well, they don't force you to do your thing in your bedroom, in your house. Just don't be showing it in the street. America respect that. They don't sanction Saudi Arabia for that. They don't sanction Dubai for that. Why do they sanction Uganda and Anita Omong, who was the leader of this bill? I'm just saying, I mean, look, it doesn't matter whether who's right, who's wrong. Don't you believe people in their own countries can choose whichever way they want to live? Do they need a professor, a police, or somebody from another place to come and teach them how to live their lives? And again, the question is, if you can find human rights abuses in Uganda, what about what's happening in Gaza and all the other places where things are really drastic? Like, come on. Where is the human rights abuse in all these other places? My question is, and many other people question as well. When Uganda accepted the law and the president signed it into power, into execution, something happened. The embassy of the United States of America flew a flag. I mean, you are in my country. You are an embassy. My country has just voted a law saying we don't allow this in this land. You go and fly the flag very high. What message are you sending? Of defiance? Or something else? I don't know. Tell me. I understand that's USA land. The embassy belongs to whichever country occupies the land. We know that. But when you fly the flag very, very high for everybody to see, and especially 2 days after they voted the law, what are you trying to say? You're defying people. Would you do that in Saudi Arabia? No, you would not do that in Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be correct about something, then be correct all across the board. Use the same lens, the same power, the same everything. Everybody would do that. We can respect that. You can't have one law for some people because they have oil and riches and petrol and armies and stuff and different laws for African nation. Makes no sense. Anita Omong, if she's stealing from the people of Uganda, then I think the justice of Uganda should do its job according to their law, right? And their regulations on how they're going to take her into court. Do you think it's the job of anybody else out there in the world to come and judge her for things she's doing in her country? I don't know. Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. If you are Ugandan, please give us more insight into this. It's always a great pleasure to read from you guys. God bless. Come on, minute.